Hi, my name is Mike Frye, Director of Instruction here at Westbrook Village Golf Club. Today we're going to be talking about how to rotate in a chip shot. First thing I'd like to talk about is just the basic idea of what we're trying to do when we rotate when we're chipping. So if you just grab a golf ball, it's going to be any ball, but more than likely a golf ball is going to be handy if you're out practicing. So grab that golf ball, face your target, and just imagine in a very athletic sense, if you were going to toss that ball underhand towards your target, I would bet virtually every single one of you is going to take a little step and go forward and toss the ball. There's a whole flow to that, right? There's a swing and you're going forward. That is the basic idea of how we're flowing forward. So if we were to do the same thing, going back to our chipping setup, we're going to turn that front foot out. We're going to get a basic idea of bending from our hips, all that kind of stuff. With that last exercise in mind, I want you to swing it back and I want you to flow towards the target just like you just did, except for now we're adding a rotation in with that. So we're going to go back and we're going to go forward. If you want to take a step, you can, but the basic idea is that I want you to get the concept from this, that we're going forward, we're stepping into that front foot, and we've got momentum going towards the target. Now we're going to take our chipping setup, we swing it back, we go forward, we toss it at the target. We go back here. And that's just the basic idea. That's how I want your rotation to flow. We're not just rotating for the sake of rotating. There is a flow towards your target that I'm trying to get at when you're rotating for a chip or a pitch shot. So with that last exercise in mind, I'd like to give you a few different drills that you can work on where you can actually get a club in your hands and start to get the feel of how that rotation works with the club. So what you notice when you start to let your shoulders and everything rotate with you, your hands and arms can really spend a lot of time right in front of your sternum. So when you go back, right, I would have my sternum pointing at my hands. As you grab a club, right, if I was to go back, you can see that my sternum, my hands, and my club are pretty well synced up there. As I come through here, back down, sternum is probably pointing a little ahead of the club, but in a general sense, it's pointing at my hands and my club. And then as I rotate through with that last exercise in mind, I still have a very similar relationship there. I'm not saying it has to be exactly in front of your sternum, but just as a general sense, what that allows you to do is your arms could stay quite a bit closer together. I'm not encouraging you to squeeze them as tight as you possibly can. I'm just saying that when you move that way, you could have them close. So what you can do is some drills where you keep them closer together. A lot of times, if you're out practicing, you're going to have access to a bucket, a range bucket. This one is kind of uncomfortable to set up, but it is a really good thing and it's pretty convenient. I can put this bucket in between my upper arms, and you'll see that when I swing this club, it's forcing me to keep that bucket there, so my arms are staying a little closer together, forcing me to rotate the way I was just describing. As I go through, same thing. Got my chest, point at my hands, point at the club. I'm keeping that bucket in between my arms. If I start taking this club back and I start going and doing some funny things with my arms, or I'm not rotating, as you can see, my chest is still pointing at the ball. I don't want that. I want there to be a little rotation here. So if you do a drill like this, you've got a bucket, put it in between your upper arms, and just keep that pressure in on the bucket, and then rotate it through. You should be able to keep that in between your arms if you're rotating properly. So that first drill I showed was with a range bucket, and that's because that should be pretty convenient for you to have. There are other ways to do that type of drill. One of them, you can get these little bands on Amazon. You put your arms in. The one I'm using today is made by Callaway. I'm sure virtually any of these, right? They just have a spot for your arms to go in. You put them on. They're keeping your arms pretty close together. These are really made for the anti-chicken wing. Is basically the concept there. But just like I was showing, if I'm rotating properly, my arms can be quite a bit closer together. So I can rotate that back, and you can see that my buttons and my hands and my club are all pretty well synced up. And then I got to rotate it through. Same exact type of concept, but if you don't have a range bucket or you'd prefer not to use a range bucket, you can always buy something like this on Amazon. Another way, if you have just a little ball like I've got here, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I can put this in between my arms, and this would be the hardest one because this ball, I really have to keep that pressure. There's really nothing that's stopping it from falling except for the pressure in between my arms. Out of all these, this would be my preferred one because it's the hardest one. But if you just want to get a general sense of how to move, the range bucket or the band is going to work just fine. But you can see as I go back, I have to keep that pressure in between there, which means I have to rotate. And then I'm going to rotate it through. And you can hit shots with this, or you can just do this in your living room where you put a ball like this or put something roughly this shape in between your upper arms, forcing your arms together. That forces you to have to rotate. Just like if that first example, right, if I don't rotate, if I can get this in here, and I just kind of take my arms back, all of a sudden you can see my chest stayed pointing at the camera. And now I've got kind of this weird relationship with my arms, and that's because I didn't rotate. Rotating your shoulders allows your arms to work so much better together, which would allow you to keep your arms closer together. And on the way, you could do the exact same thing. So this last drill I'm going to show is based on a drill that I showed in my previous video on your club face angle and the plane. So just as a reminder, I've got a stick on the ground. I've got a ball really close to that stick on the ground. And then I've got a stick here. This is based on my shaft angle, is just a reminder. What I am adding to this is a stick for my follow through. This stick, again, this whole video is about how to rotate better. So this stick is here to help you rotate. So this stick is going to be about one club head or one club length in front of your lead foot, and it's going to be roughly about where your ankles are. If you can see, my ankles are here, and this stick would be right in line with those. So when we do this drill, just like the original version of this drill where we didn't have this stick, we're trying to avoid this stick, but we want to hit this stick because we want to rotate it over there. So it looks something like this. And I don't know if you can hear that I hit that stick. And it's just forcing you to have to rotate it over there. I want you to feel just like every other drill I've shown today, you have to rotate it to hit the stick rather than try to go take your arms at the stick. So now we're going to mix some of these drills together. So I'm going to use the ball. If you want to use the bucket or you want to use that little training aid band, any of these would work just fine. We're going to use this drill I just showed, and we're going to mix them all together. So I'm going to get that ball down. I'm going to put this ball in between my upper arms, and my whole goal is to keep this ball in here. If I can get there in the first place, there we go. So I got to keep it in there. I've got to avoid this stick, and I've got to hit this stick.